Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. So again, more evidence that the government is faking it. They're lying to us. They tell us one thing months ago and then quietly revise their numbers. We saw this happen with crime statistics where they said crime is down and then they revised the numbers up. Now we're seeing this with non-farm payrolls, these new job numbers that are out. Devastating. 12,000 new jobs. We were supposed to get 112,000 new jobs. But the real story is what is hidden inside this report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is that in August and September, they revised the numbers down, and not just in a little way, but in a very big way. This tells me the economy is on the brink. And then you've got to ask yourself, well, the Dow Jones, S&P didn't react this way, at least at the time while we're doing this. And I'm doing this live now. Time is just about 12:15 Eastern time. Markets don't react in a big way. This is them pricing in the Donald Trump factor. I think what the markets are seeing is an economy on the brink, job numbers down. The American public is going to see this and say, you know what? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is bad for America. We've got to put President Trump back in office. And on that assumption, the markets rally. At one point when this news came out, the Dow was up 300 points. How do you explain that other than that they know President Trump is on the way and every piece of bad news helps us get there? And the markets are saying, hey, we want President Trump. It's the only way I know how to look at this. Other stories we'll be covering today. Kamala Harris finally asked some tough questions by a news reporter. I think it caught her totally by surprise. I'm going to play that series of questions for you, but I think the other huge news is Mark Cuban, on the heels of Joe Biden's garbage comment that all Trump supporters are garbage, Mark Cuban comes out and says Donald Trump only surrounds himself with weak, unintelligent women. Well, the weak, unintelligent women have something to say about that, don't they? They're not weak. They're not unintelligent. And in fact, the only one that's dumb in all of this happens to be Mark Cuban, a guy that I know personally. And I'm actually surprised that he was so stupid to say something like this just days before Election Day. Boy, between him and Joe Biden hammering down on all of them, it does not look good for Kamala Harris. All right, we're going to talk about all of that. But before we get to it, folks, I want to tell you all about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com is the website /Grant, PatriotMobile.com /Grant. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. Here's the great thing about them. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I can tell you that their U.S.-based customer service is right there for you every step of the way. So if you want to upgrade your phone, get a new phone, keep your old phone, get a new line, keep your old line, whatever you need to do, they'll find the right plan for you. You can choose between the three major networks so you get the same nationwide coverage you get with your other carriers, minus all of the woke nonsense you're getting with them. So when I tell you, if you're not switching to Patriot Mobile, you literally are being part of the problem. Every month you send money to the big three cell phone companies, you're funding the woke agenda. Now, I love my Patriot Mobile phone. I wouldn't endorse them if I didn't. It has been spectacular. The people behind it are spectacular. I urge you to join me in going with Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com /Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month's service, or call them at 972-PATRIOT. Super easy, 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT and tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, with that, folks, I want to talk now about Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban put his foot in his mouth. Now, I'm not going to do what most conservatives do, just play a 6-second clip of him. Let's play the whole interaction, because Mark Cuban comes out and he offers up some kind of half-assed apology to all of this, which is not really an apology at all. I'll read it to you, but let's listen to his comments.
A Nikki Haley supporter like I was in the primary, but now you're supporting Kamala Harris. And turns out Donald Trump is not even asking Nikki Haley for her help to try to reach her voters. What do you make of that? And do you think having people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and other Republicans with Kamala Harris is going to put her over the edge with these Nikki Haley supporters?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll put her over the edge with Nikki Haley supporters. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women. ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work. Donald Trump surrounds himself with unintelligent women, weak women. First off, I'm blessed to call Alina Habba, President Trump's attorney, my friend. I was friends with her before she really even burst onto the scene. Just when she first went to work for President Trump, I got to know her. This is one of the strongest, brightest, most successful winners of all time. I'm not even going to say woman. She's a winner. That's what I look at her first. But apparently Mark Cuban looks at her as a woman first. Now, she is a strong woman. Don't get me wrong. She had a response to all of this. You've got so many people around President Trump, like Caroline Leavitt, who is a strong woman, and we could list off all of them. But I'm not going to give you the list because I don't need to give you the list. You just look at everyone. Kellyanne Conway, who was great. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was absolutely great. Linda McMahon, who's running the transition team for President Trump. Former CEO of WWE. You think this is a dumb, not strong, unintelligent woman, Mark Cuban? You really, quite frankly, went down the road of asshole here. And then he gets mad in his apology that people were lobbing insults at him. But this is bad.
See him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, Nikki Haley will call.
So then who are these people that I just mentioned? Because they all seem to me to be very strong and intelligent. And by the way, did anyone tell Mark Cuban that his new partner, Miriam Adelson, a big-time Republican, big-time supporter of President Trump, is also very smart? She's very intelligent. The casino magnate. She's now a majority owner in the Dallas Mavericks, my Dallas Mavericks, that Mark Cuban still keeps a little percentage in. That's his partner. What does she say about all of this? Anybody remind him of that? What a stupid comment by him. So you want to hear what he said about all of this? This is Mark Cuban saying, when I said this during the interview, I didn't get it out exactly the way I thought I did. So I apologize to anyone who felt slighted or upset by my response. Yeah, right. Give me a break. As I said, I wasn't about Trump voters. It wasn't about Trump voters, supporters, or employees, current or former. So then who was it about? Huh?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll put her over the edge with Nikki Haley supporters. Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever.
So who's he talking about? Or employees. I mean, many of these people worked for President Trump. So he says, Mark Cuban does, I set myself up for the 6-second soundbite. No excuses. Can't nail every interview. My skin is thick enough. Your skin? We're not worried about your skin. I'm not that I'm worried because they can handle themselves, but I'm defending the woman that you just besmirched. Here we go. This is where it gets rich in Mark Cuban's response. What bothers me, though, is that so many of the comments or media in support of or against me has some level of insult attached to it. Not just here, but everywhere. So, Mark, here's an insult for you. What you said was dumb, okay? Now, I don't think you're a dumb guy, but I do think your billionaire status has clouded your judgment. I think you have so much money, you're no longer in touch with the average everyday citizen. You have so much cash that you don't understand what it's like to go to the grocery store. And so you think, okay, well, I'm going to go feel good. And the Democrats want to pretend that they make everybody feel good when in the end they've got their boots on our necks, Mark Cuban. But you don't see it because of the billions of dollars. And it doesn't matter how much you pay in taxes, apparently, because you have so much money, you can just burn it. He's out of touch. He goes on to say, I'm not blaming anyone. We are who we are. Here is hoping that changes. Here is hoping that changes at least a little bit in a week. In the spirit of joy, I have to add that all the AI memes of me with long hair crack me up, so there is a positive. The internet is funny, that's for sure. But this is a pretty insincere apology, if that's what it is. I would have actually respected him more if he didn't apologize, if he didn't say anything. You know, I mean, when you say something, you either stick with it. I'm not apologizing anymore. I've come to that conclusion that you're not going to get an apology from me unless I do something really, really boneheaded and I mean the apology. But he doesn't mean the apology here. He doesn't mean it at all. So here we are now with looking at strong women surrounding President Trump, which he's got a lot of them. Just look at his campaign. It's filled with strong women. This is Alina Habba. I told you she's probably the strongest he's got. Listen to her response to Mark Cuban.
I just got off a plane, so pardon.
Well, hold on. I got to up the audio on this, and we'll start it over, okay? Hold on.
Summer Zervos. Michael Cohen. I just got off a plane, so pardon my delay in responding to Mark Cuban's disgusting misogynistic remarks. Summer Zervos. Michael Cohen on 3 levels. Just confirmed and denied by the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm licensed in 4 states. I graduated college in 3 years. Savage v. Trump. By the way, I could keep going, but those are the cases I win. And your left-wing media and your rhetoric, and you're putting women down. See, President Trump doesn't do that. He surrounds himself with strong women like me. So Mark Cuban, you can go to hell. I'm voting for Trump because I want my daughter to never, ever be around people that speak like you do.
Well, that's pretty darn good. Good comeback to Mark Cuban. I don't want my daughter to ever be around you. And these people think they're the defenders of women the way Donald Trump thinks about reproductive rights. It's not about reproductive rights. It's about a right to live. And I'm not going to get in an abortion debate with you, but these people are crazy. I think these one-issue voters about abortion and they just hate Trump, they are buying into this narrative that somehow it's going to be the Handmaid's Tale when President Trump gets into office. Now, we had 4 years of President Trump. It wasn't the Handmaid's Tale then. So why are they down this road that he's the most awful human being? As Danica Patrick says, you don't have to go to dinner with the guy. Just let him run the country like he runs his businesses, and we'll all be in much better shape. And the reason I know we'll be in better shape is because we've proven to be in better shape. So the campaign sends out this little beta mail to respond to Mark Cuban's comments and other issues like Joe Biden's all Trump supporters are garbage comment. By the way, last night at Halloween, there were more garbage bag costumes, garbage can costumes than I've ever seen in my life. Thank you, Joe Biden. The only thing they lowered the cost of was of Halloween costumes. All you needed was a garbage bag. You didn't need to go to Party City and buy some crazy costume.
Ian, is that an unforced error talking about women on the other side of the aisle like that this close to Election Day? And does the campaign agree with what Mark Cuban just said?
Well, my understanding is he tweeted to sort of clarify his comments. But the vice president's been very clear. She said this just yesterday, that she certainly disagrees strongly with insulting anybody over who they support, whether they support her, whether they support President Trump. She strongly disagrees with insulting people based on who they vote for.
Oh, really? Have you ever heard her talk about January 6ers? Literally grandmothers and grandfathers that were walking through the Capitol on an unorganized tour. She talks to them as if they're Charles Manson. She talks about Trump supporters like you wouldn't believe. She talks about President Trump as a fascist, meaning that everybody that supports him somehow thinks we support a dictator. We don't want President Trump to be a dictator. What we want is government not telling us what to do. That's what President Trump believes. Unleashing free markets where government is not intervening in all of these situations. But we don't get much about that, right? Hey, I'm going to continue this. They talked about this on the 5. I'm going to play that for you here in a second. But before I do, I want to tell you about my friends over at get21now.com. Up to 21% of monthly income. Okay. This is Annualized interest on your investment, 21%, paid out monthly. This is the greatest investment that I have made in a really, really long time. I get a check every month. Well, direct deposit every month on my investment, 21% annualized. And you lock into this with a contract. And so they've been around for 8-9 years. These guys are legit. They're the real deal. I've got friends now going with them. I've got the Stinchfield podcast listeners going with them. I have gone with them, and they've lived up to every promise. It's about Bitcoin mining. The secret is in the mining. They mine the Bitcoin. They sell it the next day. They're not investing in Bitcoin. There's not the ups and downs, the wild swings. They literally have institutionalized the ability to mine Bitcoin. You take part in that. So you take part in the Bitcoin movement, but you don't need or get these wild swings. So go to get21now.com, fill out the form. They'll get back to you. And when you are there, make sure you call them back. If they call you, they get with you, follow up. I promise you, you are not going to be disappointed with these guys. All right? Get21now.com, 21% monthly income, annualized. And I'll tell you, it's a great deal. If you're looking for cash flow, this is a lot less headaches than running a business. Get21now.com. The name of the company is NFN8. And I'm really impressed with the leadership there. Get21now.com. All right. Continuing to talk about Mark Cuban's fallout. The ladies on the 5, or was it the 5? No, it may be Outnumbered on Fox. Where they get 4 women and a guy. They talked about this. And understandably, they're offended by Mark Cuban's comments.
Look, I don't know where Mark Cuban is today, but as a woman, I have questions. I want to know, are you big enough? Are you man enough to apologize and take responsibility for what you said?
I doubt it. Yeah. The audacity behind that comment, the hubris behind it, the cavalier quality, how easily it rolled off his tongue, that he could, with a broad brush, afforded a billionaire, a reality TV star, to say to all of those who served in the military, in the administration with Donald Trump, those incredible, strong, intelligent female leaders, the best of us, the treasure, that they are not strong, that they are unintelligent, and to say it with a straight face, thinking it would be applauded. That is garbage.
That is garbage. What about a woman like Tulsi Gabbard? Now, you know that I've had my issues with Tulsi Gabbard as far as a policy situation. She has a long history of supporting Nancy Pelosi's agenda, but she seems to have legitimately made a change. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I've interviewed her on a few occasions now. She seems sincere about this. Of all my criticisms about Tulsi Gabbard, though, my criticism was never that she was unintelligent or weak. She was a member of our military. She became a United States Congresswoman. She has the intestinal fortitude to change her way of thinking, to come over to our side, ultimately endorse President Trump. You've got to believe that takes strength. Tulsi Gabbard is one. What other strong women surround themselves with President Trump? Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner is no, not Caitlyn Jenner. Who are the strong women that surround themselves with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? You got that crazy transgender Secretary of the Health. What's her name? You've got Sam Britton, the guy that the transgender was stealing luggage out of the airport. These are the strong women surrounding Kamala Harris. Oh, man. Oh, man. Bad news leading into Election Day. Not what Kamala Harris needed. You know what else isn't what Kamala Harris needed? A controversy with Joe Rogan. So President Trump goes on with Joe Rogan, and he goes on with Joe Rogan, and then Kamala Harris wants to go on with Joe Rogan. And she says, you got to fly to me? Well, Joe Rogan has a studio in Austin. One of the reasons why you do the Joe Rogan experience is you go down to Austin. It is an experience. You're in his studio. It's about a 3-hour process. They said you just want an hour. President Trump, I believe, said the same thing. He just wanted an hour, but ended up staying for 3 because was having such a good time. This is Joe Rogan explaining the controversy over Kamala Harris about why she ended up not doing the Joe Rogan experience.
I heard you might have needed to cancel on us to get Kamala Harris on.
I was not going to do that.
I would have had to. I knew you guys flew from England, and I wasn't going to cancel on you because she had an opportunity to come in. You could look at this and you could say, "Oh, you're being a diva," but she had an opportunity to come here when she was in Texas, and I literally gave them an open invitation. I said, "Anytime." I said, "If she's done at 10 o'clock, we'll come back here at 10 o'clock." I go, "I'll do it at 9 in the morning. I'll do it at 10 p.m. I'll do it at midnight." She's up. She wants to, drink a Red Bull, fucking party on.
Yeah, but I think this idea that you're being a diva is silly because you're offering her the opportunity to do exactly what the other candidate did, right?
Well, she actually reached out when she found out that he was coming on. So their camp reached out to me. So I said, great, I would love to talk to her. But it was very difficult to tie it down, and they wanted to travel. And see, the thing is, you can't, if I go somewhere, then there's going to be other people in the room.
And that's about control. See, I think everything about the Harris campaign is about control. They want to control every aspect of it because, boy, you start going outside the sidelines, Kamala Harris is lost. You interrupt her rally, she gets off the prompter, lost. You throw her in front of Joe Rogan, he's going to ask questions about things she doesn't want to answer, lost. So now you go on her territory, home field advantage. They've got people in the room. They got people starting and stopping and all this stuff. No, that's not how it works. And I'm proud of Joe for saying no, right? Not that he needs me to be proud of him, but I am. I'm proud of him for saying no.
And they want to control a lot of things, I'm sure, according to the Brett Breyer interview on Fox. People were waving him off. That's a distraction. People in the room, my whole goal with her and with him is just talk. Just have a conversation like a human being. You find out things about people. You get a sense of them, at least, a real sense. That was it. I don't give a fuck what we talk about. I really don't. I just want to talk to you. Who the fuck are you?
Do you think they think that you're on his side and they're more wary of you?
I don't know. I mean, there's... just because of my appearance, there's always been this assumption that I'm some right-wing MAGA guy, which is...
Well, I don't think that Joe Rogan is a right-wing MAGA guy. In fact, I think Joe Rogan wasn't really thinking about politics for a long time. I think Joe Rogan, at his core, is a free thinker, quite possibly a libertarian, and he's experiencing this and realizing this real time for his audience, which makes it fascinating to watch. Where a guy like me, where I stood, I've been like this since I was 13 years old. I've always been a conservative. Ever since I started, ever since Ronald Reagan was shot and I got home from school and I turned on the TV and watched that, from that moment on, I was a conservative. I don't know what it is or why, but that was it. And it's also when I realized the power of information and I was hungry for it on how the president was. And I think that was a catalyst to me getting into media that day that President Trump was shot. But Joe Rogan's experiencing this. Now, I think he certainly would vote for Trump. He's not voting for Kamala. That I think he's made pretty much clear. But he's not Tucker Carlson. He's not Grant Stinchfield. He's not Kash Patel. He's not like that. But I do think he'd ask her questions the American people want answers to. And that's a good thing. But Kamala Harris is afraid of that.
I was a Bernie supporter. I am not. I'm a politically homeless person for sure. I always considered myself a left-wing person. I never thought I would ever vote right-wing. But then the tides of culture shifted in a very bizarre way, and it just made me over time much more aware of what this stuff is really all about. Because what this stuff is really all about is just these natural human behavior patterns and these tribal instincts that we have. And it overpowers all discussions.
Well, the tribal instincts is very real. And now I'm going to tell you from my biased perspective, but I also think it's the truth. As Republicans, as conservatives, as Make America Great Again patriots, we have to be tribalistic because at the core of our values, they're the very same core values this country was founded on. They're the very same core values the Bible was written on and Jesus preached. They're very same core values. The Democrats do not have those core values. The Democrats' core values are the complete opposite. So this is why I believe we need to be tribalistic. This idea of person over party doesn't work for me. There's not one Democrat in America that I would vote for, ever. And even if it's two Democrats running against each other in the race, I think I don't vote. People may argue with me on that. There's the lesser of two evils, whatever. They're all bad. These elected Democrats all the way down to school board members, they're all bad. I don't know any good elected Democrat that isn't secretly a conservative, and there are some of those. Same goes for Kamala Harris supporters. They are blinded by their support for Kamala Harris because it can't be based off of common sense. Where do you think it's a good idea for men to be competing against women? Where do you think it's a good idea for third, fourth, and fifth graders to be reading pornography in grade school? None of this stuff makes any sense. So they're blinded. How else can Kamala Harris fill an arena where she holds a rally, unless she's paying for many of these people, which many of the people believe that she actually is? I think there's been some evidence that she's paying for them to go there. But there are certainly people there that are cheering her on, that believe everything. Oh, Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. It's only because she's a Democrat. And it's only because they have one issue, this abortion issue, and this issue that President Trump is going to make them, it's going to be Handmaid's Tale all over again. So the tribalism is real in America. One tribe is right, the other tribe is wrong, and that's just the bottom line.
It overpowers what's good for the collective group. It overpowers everything. It's just people pick a fucking team, and then whatever that team says, they can do no harm. They will do their best to marginalize the horrible effects of the furthest extreme version of that, whether it's Antifa or the Proud Boys. They'll minimalize the... It's the same thing, man. It's the same. If you look at what's going on with the liberals right now, so progressives they want the war in Ukraine to be funded. They want to censor speech online. And they want to give the World Health Organization, which is deeply influenced by Big Pharma, including the FDA, deeply influenced. The revolving door between the FDA and pharmaceutical drug companies is legendary. And they want to give them control over what we take and what we don't take. And that's crazy.
But that gets to the heart of what I have been telling you for a long time, of the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats believe that they inside government know what's best for you. Republicans, conservatives believe we know what's best for us and our families. That's the whole difference. This idea that they want to give power to the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, all these things, give up sovereignty to the wealthy elites who know better than us and are going to lead us down a path of prosperity, which is really a path of following. Now, we need leaders in this country. Not everybody can be a leader. I understand that. It wouldn't work if everybody was trying to lead. But you still give people the ability to make decisions. You make sure that free will in society is maintained. Democrats don't want you to have free will. They don't want you to have free will to vote. They don't want you to have free will of where your kids can go to school. They don't want you to have free will of what you can invest in. And they certainly don't want you to have free will of what you say. They are the party of censorship, control, and contraction. None of that works in a society that is supposed to be free, which is why the Democrat system, the Democrat philosophy, is not only broken, but it's bad for America, and it's destroying this nation before our very eyes.
And that doesn't make sense, because that's not what the liberals were when I was a kid. My parents were hippies. You know, we lived in San Francisco during the Vietnam War. My parents were like straight up hippies. That's how I was raised. And so for me, it was always like the liberals were the ones who wanted education and open-mindedness. The liberals who were the ones with the ACLU let the Nazis talk and let them have a rally. They said you can't infringe on people's free speech, because if you infringe on the speech of people that you disagree with, you're being a fucking hypocrite. The only solution to bad speech is better speech. We've always known that. But when they had the power over social media and these collective groups of people that all had the same ideology, and then that tribal mentality kicks in, and you lose the perspective that you should have as an educated person that recognizes that everyone has to be able to talk, and we have to figure out who's right.
So this is where I get back to all politics or selfish politics. Joe Rogan, very concerned on free speech. I'm glad he is, but where does he make millions of dollars? Platform like this one. I make my money off of being able to speak freely. All right. I also happen to have a job that I feel very strongly about. I feel blessed to be able to do, but I've got to make a living doing this as well. Kamala Harris has tried, along with Joe Biden and the Democrats and the social media overlords, to stop me from making a living doing this. They canceled my YouTube channel I was making money at. They basically wiped my Facebook out that I was making $5,000, $6,000 a month. Not Joe Rogan money, but it's real cash. Canceled it. Demonetized me. Every step of the way, every time you get some success as a conservative, they knock you back down. And here's how I know they're mad. This was yesterday. This is the New York Times. Election falsehoods take off on YouTube as it looks the other way. Now, why is my picture up there? My YouTube channel looks the other way. Right now on YouTube, I've got 3 people watching. 3. And I make the New York Times for YouTube looks the other way. You think only 3 people want to watch my content on YouTube? No, they have totally diminished me. So New York Times, you're wrong about YouTube. YouTube is completely shadow banned me. And then, by the way, here I am, the top left corner next to Kash Patel. You got Tim Pool in there, Rudy Giuliani, Michael Knowles, Steve Deese, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, whole bunch of great guys. I'm in great company here. I'm not even mentioned in the article. So apparently my face is so pretty that they just want to use me as clickbait. Is that it? Come on. I'm honored to be in their presence, though. That's pretty darn cool. But the article's ridiculous. YouTube looks the other way on election false. No, it doesn't. It's got me wiped out. Oh, look at that. Maybe YouTube heard me. We just cleared our 4th viewer on YouTube. Thanks. Thanks, Google. What jerks. So, Joe Rogan is not going to interview Kamala. The whole point of this segment was that, is he going to interview Kamala? No. Well, that ABC anchor asked Kamala's spokesperson about that, too.
Joe Rogan has said that the campaign contacted him, too, and that they wanted Joe Rogan to travel to where Kamala Harris was campaigning versus Harris travel to Austin as Trump did. Firstly, is that accurate? And if it's true, why not just travel to Austin and go do that interview with Joe Rogan? Is it a missed opportunity to make inroads with particularly young white male voters?
Well, yeah, we've had good conversations with Joe Rogan and his team about a potential interview between the vice president and him. I'm not sure whether it'll work out scheduling-wise in this campaign.
Scheduling-wise? It wasn't scheduling-wise. You wanted to control the entire interview. Joe Rogan said, no, you're not going to control it. The reason you're afraid of Joe Rogan is because he goes on and talks about things like this.
It's placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
Oversight and regulation for free speech? What America is that? That has nothing to do with the First Amendment. First Amendment says we shall have free speech. Freedom to practice religion, freedom of the press, freedom to speak our minds. Now you can't go out there defaming people. You can't yell fire at a movie theater. You can't do certain things. There's guardrails on some of it. But your misinformation is my truth, by the way. And my truth happens to be the truth. They forget that. They don't really forget it. They know it, which is why they want to go down this road of basically shutting us up. They despise the truth because it destroys their arguments.
Okay, right away.
Yeah.
There's no way to misconstrue that.
What does that mean?
Oversight and regulation for free speech is ridiculous.
Yeah, totally.
Just that alone, there's no way to misconstrue that, right? What she was saying is what I was thinking she was saying. She was saying she wants government oversight and regulation for social media. That's crazy.
It's crazy for anyone to want it, because if the only reason you want it, right, is because you agree with the ideological bent of the platform, wait until someone else is in charge of it, or wait until there's a different government in charge.
You know what's so funny is I could care less what they say about me. Look, the New York Times meant this to be a slam, right? Putting all of us up there, I'm proud of it. I don't care. Put it up there. You write anything you want, New York Times. I don't believe you. I'm smart enough to read it for myself and understand the difference between what's real, what's not, what's a lie, and what's truth. I don't need you telling me. You want to call me a racist? You want to call me all kinds of stupid things that are not true? I don't care. But the left cares. And the reason they care is because it's true. The reason I don't care is because it's not true. That's the whole difference in all of us. You say whatever you want to say. You want to go vote for Kamala Harris? Go have at it. Man, I may try to talk you out of it. I'll try to give you the argument about why this is a bad idea, but I'm not going to stop you from voting for Kamala Harris. Go do it. It's America. It's a free country. But they, holy cow, they would do everything they could to stop us, as you've seen with the cheating and the mail-in ballot scheme and making it difficult. They wanted to close the polls in certain areas just this time around now. They don't want us voting. And they certainly don't want us telling the truth. That's really the reality of the situation, folks. All right, continuing here now. Kamala Harris finally asked some real questions. Do you believe this? A news reporter on MSNBC asked her legitimate questions. Not what kind of ice cream do you like? Not, what's your favorite color? Not how is it riding on Air Force Two. Nothing stupid. She literally asked real questions, and I'm actually grateful. For the first time, I'm going to say I'm grateful to MSNBC for asking real questions of Kamala Harris. I'm flabbergasted.
As he and his supporters grab onto that language, though, from President Biden, you're not at all concerned that might undermine your messaging?
I am very clear that in this election, what the American people want most is to know that I have a plan, that we have a plan to bring down the cost of living and invest in American families, invest in small businesses, invest in our economy. I am proud that I have the support of leading economists in our nation who recognize that I actually have a specific plan and that it will strengthen America's economy. He has very little of a plan besides giving tax breaks to the richest people, and his plan, whatever it may be, will actually weaken our economy.
All right, so wait a second. Please tell me these leading economists, because that's already been blown out of the water. No, you don't. Economists do not believe in your plan. And this idea that grocery stores are price gouging is responsible for inflation when you're no drilling and bans on fracking and all of this stuff that you're trying to put in place that literally is what's wiping out the fossil fuel industry, sending the cost of fuel through the roof, which then increases pricing. The government spending, which you're now reaching record numbers, this Inflation Reduction Act, what a joke, infused so much cash into our country that prices soared of everything. Her plan is going to work. Tell me what your plan is. Now, President Trump, no tax on tips. Do you think a billionaire gets tips? No. Tax credit for those who take care of their own family and stay home. You think those are billionaires that are staying home with their dying grandmother? No, they hire a nurse to do it. That's not the rich people. President Trump wanting to close the border down, you think that affects rich people? That affects everybody, by the way. The reason you close the border down is because crime is taking its toll. I could go on and on and on. You know most of the answers to these things, but at least this woman on MSNBC is literally asking decent questions.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she stays up at night wondering why this election is so close. Do you do that? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night are the challenges that face the American family and my role and responsibility in my to-do list to address those issues.
So, again, a decent question. Your answer would be informative as to how you feel, but you didn't give an answer. American families. Okay, well, that's great. My concern's American families, too, but I'd like to know, what is your grave concern? If someone asked me today, what keeps you up at night? My honest answer would be the fact that Kamala Harris could win on Tuesday. And the reason that keeps me up at night, the reason I have so much anxiety over that is because Joe Biden has started a process of destroying America. I think Kamala Harris will continue it by raising taxes, by not prosecuting crimes, by leaving the border wide open, by letting the pharmaceutical companies run rampant over all of us. These are all things that she's done. By not taking a tough stance against our enemies and letting them continue to cause chaos around the globe that causes such instability, that has such a wide-ranging effect on our economy, including oil prices, energy costs, to the cost of everything. This is what keeps me up at night. Add China into the mix and what it will do. Does this expand to a broader possible war between people and countries that are superpowers that could cause great devastation? Jihadists keep me up at night. I know they're flowing into this country. It is just a matter of time before they blow us up in the streets of any city near you. This keeps me up at night. So you want to ask what keeps me up at night? I'll tell you what, it all does. In fact, I don't sleep through the night. I wake up about 4 or 5 times a night because I'm thinking about this stuff, because I'm worried about it. Have I done enough? Have I got enough to inform the masses about why this is a bad idea for Kamala Harris? Her answer wasn't like that. I don't think she's capable of an answer like that. Do you? It's very sad. All right, one more question.
Day one, what's your first executive action?
Well, my first priority, which will be probably the package of bills, is about bringing down the cost of living. So it's about housing. It's about childcare. It's about what we need to do to deal with grocery prices.
Hold on. A package of bills? Well, that's Congress that brings that. What's your first action as president? Again, you could ask me if I was going to be president. My first action as president is to reinstate Remain in Mexico, to activate the border wall construction, to put Border Patrol officers back on the line, to start protecting our borders. Then I'm going to Mexico. My second task is to go to Mexico and say, you stop this invasion now. And if you don't stop it, we are going to cut off trade with your country. And here's the other thing. We're coming into your country and we're going after the cartels because they're pushing fentanyl at the behest of China into this country. We are going to wage war and declare war against the Mexican drug cartels, and we're coming after them in your country. You can either help us or you can get out of the way, but we're coming in. You can call it an invasion of your country. We don't want any problems with Mexico, but we're coming after the cartel members. What is Mexico going to do? Yes, Mr. President, we'll help. I promise you. President Trump is going to offer up tariffs on China. I never thought that was a good idea until President Trump came into office and I saw what it does, used as a tool to bargain with them. It's a weapon, really, is what it is. But Kamala Harris didn't answer that. She just says, we're going to come up with a package of bills and we'll do it.
It's not one, it's a package that is with one singular purpose, bringing down the cost of living.
Yeah, right. Bringing down the cost of gold. What's the package of bills? Anybody that price gouges, we're going to come after you. Again, grocery margins are so thin. It's a volume game. You got to sell, thousands cans of Campbell's chicken soup before you start to make any money. It's a volume game. You got to sell a lot of stuff to make money. If you don't sell a lot of stuff at the grocery store, you're going to go out of business. They're not gouging you. All right. The wellness company, folks. Do you know them? Watch.
Do you really trust her to run this country for the next 4 years? How have the last 4 years gone under him? Well, your tax dollars are being funneled overseas, and to support illegal immigration, they've left our people behind, offering just $750 in aid as if that's enough. With political insanity that we're living through, supply chain shortages, natural disasters, and the looming threat of another pandemic, you need to prepare your family now. The Wellness Company offers 5 critical medical kits packed with life-saving medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, amoxicillin, Z-Pak, and more. Each kit is backed by Dr. Peter McCullough. Ordering is simple. Just a few clicks and it's delivered to your door. Head to twc.health/grant and use code GRANT to save up to $60 off plus free shipping. That's twc.health/grant and use code GRANT to save up to $60 off plus free shipping right now.
So, you know what I forgot to do, folks? I started this podcast off talking about the fake numbers that the Biden administration pushes on all of us, and they are fake numbers. Remember, they revised the crime statistics quietly, behind the scenes. that crime was actually a lot higher than they told us it was, but it was enough for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to go around saying they lowered crime, and then lo and behold, no, they didn't lower crime. Crime wasn't lower. It was higher, actually, and by a lot, but they quietly revised those numbers. Well, now they quietly revised the job numbers. So we learned today that we created 12,000 non-farm payroll jobs in America. We were expecting 112,000. This is a devastating blow. But in the news release, way down at the bottom was the real story. I'm going to quote from it. Job numbers from August and September have been revised lower in a very big way. The change in total non-farm payroll for August was revised down 81,000 from 159,000 to 78,000. And the change for September was revised down by 31,000 from 254 to 223,000. With these revisions, employment in August and September combined is 112,000 lower than previously reported. So with the stroke of a pen, of a typewriter, of a statistician correcting his errors, we lost 112,000 jobs in 2 months. That's what happens. We were told they were there, and then poof, they're gone. They were never really there in the first place. They were phantom, phony, fake jobs that never existed. This is why they tell us the economy's doing great, but why we don't feel it. You know it. You don't need to be a Harvard, MBA to tell you the economy's wrong. You feel it. You know it. You know if there's uncertainty at work or what your employer's doing. Are you going to go out of business, the company? Can you make payroll? Maybe you work for a company that missed payroll 1 week. That's a frightening prospect to be in. Any company I worked in that missed a payroll did not last very long. Thankfully, in all the businesses that I've owned, not that there's been a tremendous amount, but I have owned a few. I've had literally over the course of 10 years, hundreds of people work for me. Thankfully, I've never missed a payroll. Well, I can't say that. I missed a payroll one day because I had the wrong date in the ADP software. That was a nightmare. But I got it to them literally the next day. That was an error. I've never missed a payroll because I didn't have the money to pay it, ever. I don't think Kamala Harris would be able to say that, but oh yeah, she's never run a business in her life before. I don't want somebody who's never run a business in their life in charge of America. I really don't. It's the last thing that I want. All right, folks. That is going to do it for us, this edition of Stinchville. Can you believe we're going to have one more podcast on Monday, then Tuesday is Election Day. So we've got basically 2 more podcasts before Election Day, and we've been talking about this for a long time. If you have not voted, folks, you better get out there and vote. Please go do it today. Please. It is imperative that we vote early and get these numbers up, and we only have a few days to do it now. All right? My website, of course, is GrantStinchfield.com. I would love it if you signed up for the email list there. This way I can stay in touch with you. GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield1776 on all the social media platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter or Rumble, which is my favorite platform of all for these videos, please like the video. Share the video, copy, paste the link, send it to your friends, get them to watch it, introduce them to the program, recruit them to become a member of Stinchfield's Army, because you know I am so grateful for all of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We're rolling right into election week next week. Have a great weekend. I would say rest this weekend, but no time for rest this weekend. Get out there, get people to the polls, recruit as many people, call as many people, text as many people, do what you got to do to get President Trump elected. God bless every one of you, folks. Say a prayer for President Trump. Say a prayer for America. Good Lord willing, we take it home on Tuesday. See ya Monday, and I'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight. Oh, by the way, our first normal show in weeks. Trump rally not till 9 Eastern tonight. So we will have a show on Real America's Voice tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in to that. Stinchfield's Army rolls. See you there.